So, the 6-phase meditation, right? I'm going to tell you about these 6 phases and how we're going to do them. So, the first phase is compassion, followed by gratitude, forgiveness, future dreaming, visualizing the perfect day, and then the blessing. Compassion, gratitude, forgiveness, future dreaming, visualizing the perfect day, and then the blessing. It could take 10 minutes, it could take 20 minutes, depending on how deep you want to go. I often do it in just 10 minutes when I'm in a rush. Now, the first phase is compassion, and as I guide you through this, let me explain what I'm going to make you do. Okay, so compassion is expressing the intention of moving from judgment to caring, from isolation to connection, from indifference or dislike to understanding. Basically, this phase is about feeling connected to other people and having a sense of compassion towards them. This is really important. There was a really famous study done at Harvard called the Very Happy People Study, and they wanted to find out what is the thing that correlates most to happiness. Now, it wasn't warm weather or, meeting your friends at the pub after work or having amazing great sex. It was the strength of your human connections. It had a correlation of 0.7. It was the only thing that seemed to correlate really well with happiness. Yet, if you look at the way we live the life right now, we often forget that. Okay, you guys ready for another bizarre experiment? Face someone. Just face someone. Find a partner. Okay? Now at the count of 3, I want you to kiss them on the lips. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Just seeing if you're paying attention. I want you to instead look them in the eye. Just look them in the eye. Now, if this person is a stranger, you'll immediately notice how difficult this is. Just staring someone in the eye creates this feeling of discomfort because it creates connection. But connection, we are trained, is uncomfortable sometimes, especially with a stranger. Okay, now, stop, you two, go find a room. Face here again. This particular phase is about teaching you to connect better. Okay, so we'll go deeper into it. Compassion. Now, the second phase is gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to up your levels of happiness. Science shows that it causes more energy, high emotional intelligence, forgiving attitudes, less depression, less anxiousness, more feelings of being socially connected, better sleep, fewer headaches, and all of that good stuff. It's super, super, super simple. In this phase, you're simply going to think about 3 things that you're grateful for in your personal life, 3 things in your career, and 3 things that you're grateful for about yourself. It's that last bit that I found many people forget. We often expect love to come from outside sources, but we fail to truly, truly, truly love yourself. So in this particular gratitude practice, you think about your personal life, your career, but finally, you just love yourself and think about what you're truly grateful for that makes you you. Then we go on to the third phase, which is forgiveness. This is one of the most interesting ones. I learned about this because I was at the invitation of Tony Robbins at his island in Fiji on a 9-day retreat meditating with monks, and forgiveness and getting rid of charges that come up that you have inside you towards other people whom you perceive may have wronged you is such a big part about getting yourself to operate at peak efficiency, at peak states. So science has shown that when you learn to forgive, all of us carry some sort of charge towards someone. It could be something from years ago or a waiter who screwed up your order this morning. But science shows that when you learn to forgive, interesting things happen. In one study, people with back pain, their back pain went away much faster. It leads to greater happiness, better heart health, all when you learn to let go of these charges. So there's a really interesting thing about how we work as human beings, right? It's called fundamental attribution error. Our primitive reptilian brains are always used to looking for danger. So we have this tendency where say we're in traffic and someone cuts us off, we immediately go into defensive mode and we start assuming that they're a frickin' asshole. But if we do the same thing, we assume that it's only because, well, our kid, dear little Billy boy, was late for school. Or we had to get to work because there was an important project due. See, when someone else does it, we assume it's their character. When we do it, we assume it's circumstance. And about 10 years ago, I saw this in myself. I was in San Francisco. I was walking down the street, and there was a lady in front of me who was eating an Oreo, and she dropped the wrapper on the ground. And me, being a righteous guy, picked it up, went up to her, dropped it in front of a bin directly in front of her so she would see me. And I went, "Oh, ma'am, you dropped this." And then she turned to me, and she started crying. And I turned around, and she says, "Why did you have to do that?" And I go, "I was picking up your garbage. What do you mean, why I have to do that?" And she said, "I had a massive fight with my husband this morning. My life seems to be in absolute ruins. I'm sorry I dropped that. My mind just wasn't on it. I just wanted to eat this Oreo because I needed to relieve the pain. You didn't have to be such an asshole." And I realized what I'd done. I had assumed that she was someone who didn't give a shit about the environment, was a litter bug. In fact, it was her circumstance that caused her to do it. Now, we make these judgments about people all the time. All of you are judging me right now and judging each other. The problem is, these judgments often create charges. They create false ideas about another person. We carry them with us, and these charges hold us back. That's what this phase is about. Phase 3, forgiveness. So in this phase, you're going to bring to mind someone whom you feel may have wronged you, and simply repeat this statement: "I forgive you, and I ask that you forgive me." That's simple. Now we go on to phase 4. Now, phase 4 is about future dreaming. See, so far, everything that we've spoken about is about the present. It's about happiness levels in the present. Now we go to thinking about what's happening in your life in the future. So I'm a big fan of this phase. This is really what some people call creative visualization. I've experienced massive growth in my entrepreneurial career. And one of the reasons I believe I've had that is because I do this every single day. That used to be my first office in 2005. It was an absolute... I'm censoring myself because this is wisdom too. But you know what I was going to say. That's my office now. It just in 2012, it made Inc. magazine, top 10 world's coolest workplaces. But now that was our auditorium. That's where we inducted new employees in 2008. You guys are laughing. That's really mean. But that's our auditorium now. It's somewhat like this space. But every single thing I visualize years ahead. And somehow it would seem as if my brain would find the right answers, the right opportunities to get me to those visions. So I've always believed that as an entrepreneur, the single most important thing I did every single day was think about what I wanted to attract in my life and visualize that in that meditation. So there's something really interesting about your brain, right? We tend to overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but we underestimate what we can do in 3. There was a study on this. So when I'm visualizing, and when you do this, I want you to think 3 years ahead. And whatever you see 3 years ahead, double that. Because your brain is going to underestimate what you're actually capable of. It's a really interesting phenomenon. Okay, so that's what this phase is about. You're going to visualize yourself 3 years ahead. Then we go on to the perfect day. But before that, before I tell you about the perfect day, a little bit about that visualization bit, right? In spirituality, there's this belief that you're meant to be happy and content where you are right now and not have desires or needs. I think that's rubbish. One of the greatest philosophers in the world right now, Ken Wilber, he's the greatest living philosopher alive. He wrote a famous essay called Egolessness. And in that essay, Ken said, the great saints, mystics, and sages from Moses to Christ to Padmasambhava, they were not feeble-minded milquetoast, but movers and shakers. From bullwhips in the temple to subduing entire continents. They did not live their life based on some pie-in-the-sky piety, but rattled the world to create change, and in some cases, social movements that lasted thousands of years. Think about that. I think the greatest people in the world, the most spiritual people in the world, are people like Elon Musk and Larry Page, whom we may not perceive through a traditional sense of being spiritual, but you think about the good they're doing for the world. Because they have that vision, all of us should be like that. And that's why this vision part is such an important aspect of this practice. Okay, but now, following the vision, we go on to the 5th stage, which is where, taking that vision into mind, you visualize how you'd like your perfect day today to unfold. You visualize starting your morning, alert, excited, going to work, having an amazing lunch meeting with incredible colleagues, enjoying what you eat, having great ideas come to you, perhaps going home a little bit early, being able to have time to play with your kid. Now, why does this work? Why does visualizing the perfect day work so well? Well, some people think it's because your thoughts create your reality. Maybe. Others say maybe it's the brain's reticular activating system. Maybe. But what I found is this. When you tell yourself and pretend that you can influence the outcome of your day, that you can decide that you're going to have an amazing lunch, when things go wrong, let's say the waiter screws up your order, or it comes late, or he spills water on your table, you're less likely to focus on that. And instead, you're more likely to focus on the great taste of the food, or that amazing conversation with your friend, or the beautiful ideas you were getting as you were eating. You're actually actively training your brain to ignore the negative bits and focus and embrace the positive bits. So whether you're shifting the world with your mind or not, you are shifting your level of happiness and learning to appreciate the good stuff in life. It's a powerful, powerful, powerful technique. And then we go on to the final stage, which is what we call the blessing. Okay, now in the blessing, you're simply going to assume that there's a higher power that's supporting you. Now, you could be religious, you could be an atheist, it doesn't matter. Pick whatever God you believe in, or pick whatever higher power you believe in. It could even be your future self if you're atheist. And just imagine that your vision, your perfect day, everything you want out of life is being supported. And you're going to imagine a powerful energy just flowing down into you, giving you the strength and energy to wake up and kick butt and make that day happen. That's called the blessing. Okay, now to summarize: compassion, gratitude, forgiveness, vision for your future, perfect day, and the blessing.